Hello and welcome to Beyond the Credits and Chords. I am your host, Practical. I am joined by the fellas.
DANNYBOY. Danny Boy.
Swix.
That sucked, dude.
Check
What the
Swix.
fuck, dude? Come on.
Why you guys gotta be yelling?
It's Brandon, your boy, the legend.
And today we are going to talk about Led Zeppelin.
Getting the lead out.
A band that pretty much everybody knows. At least I would hope so if you're listening to rock and roll. The band is made up of Robert Plant, Jimmy Page, John Paul Jones, and one of the greatest drummers, if not the greatest drummer of all time, according to some, John Bonham.
He meant me. I think he's
No,
the
I
best.
actually agree with you. I couldn't wait to have that conversation, but we'll
I
get
think he's
there.
aight.
Shut up.
You are a pussy.
You got to be kidding me, dude. I think he's alright. If it wasn't for him, man, a lot of your drummers wouldn't be who they are today. All right.
A fantastic
I don't
point.
give a fuck about that.
All right.
Well, that's because you don't appreciate
I didn't
music.
think you would, Yeah, that's why he's a week late with the record behind him. He's got Coheed behind him, but we're talking Zeppelin.
Oh, I just got that in. That's why. So I'm just
Hell
like,
yeah.
getting ready.
Congratulations.
He doesn't even
His
own a
vinyl's
Zeppelin,
always
probably.
sick. No, he does.
First four.
See,
Best
he knows,
ones.
He knows his shit. Hell yeah. All right, guys. Well, let's talk Led Zeppelin. I'm curious about multiple opinions here, but I'm going to start launching off some questions a little bit different than we normally do
Ooh.
to discuss the band, these legendary motherfuckers. And I would like to know kind of what you guys think. But honestly, the first thing I have to kick off in the episode, because this shit was asked like a week ago by Rex in the Discord. What's your favorite album by Led Zeppelin, Danny? I've been aching to ask you that.
We just pretty much said the first four are like the quintessential ones that you got to show someone. You don't just show them one, you know. If I had to pick one, it's always two. Two has always been my favorite. I just like the way that whole record kind of flows together. Not knocking the others. That one, and then I actually really like Physical Graffiti. I believe that has Cashmere on it, but Cashmere happens to be like my favorite Led Zeppelin song, which is so weird. But I don't know what it is.
Do you like the version with?
No,
P.
I
Diddy?
don't. No. I knew you were gonna say that, dude. Hell no.
It's terrible
in it, right? That's what you were gonna say, right?
Yeah.
Everyone's like, "Oh, that's why you like that song, because the P Diddy one." No, hear my roar, hear my call. No, I don't. I don't resonate with that song. But yeah, two for sure. I feel like that one is just like, so good.
Hell yeah.
What about you, Brandon? What's your favorite?
My favorite is probably also two, because I really like Ramble On. I like any of their songs that are about Lord of the Rings.
Right. There's a lot of that in that album, I feel like.
Yeah, Ramble On. And then I also really like 4. It's got obviously Stairway to Heaven and Misty Mountain Hop. And what's the other song? The Battle of Evermore. It's like a little acoustic. Sounds like fucking a bunch of like elves dancing around in a circle with squirrels and little rabbits in the forest. Fucking love that song.
Robert Plant fucking loves Lord of the Rings. That motherfucker.
Yeah, so that was another thing I wanted to ask. Well, I'll get to my question in a bit. Rex, what about you?
This is another one of those. This was a lot of music to digest in 1 week. have a real opinion on. It's hard, man. This shit is not my favorite. I'll say that. It's in that era of music where they just have this scream singing. It's kind of like Ozzy and all of them. I'm just not a fan of this era of music.
Well, he pretty much paved the way for guys like Ozzy. I mean, if you think about the Holy Trinity, the Unholy Trinity, I believe is what they call them. That was Zeppelin, Deep Purple, and Black Sabbath from the UK at least. But
I will kill you.
They all kind of had interesting frontmen.
I mean,
no, I wasn't going to say anything bad. I just feel like
I wouldn't
They
say
were
Robert
the
Plant
Holy
paved the
Trinity.
way for Ozzy because they
No,
both
no,
released
I'm
their
not
debut
saying that
album
at
the same
all.
year, you know.
Yeah, no, I'm
Yeah.
not saying that at all. What I'm saying is like that was kind of like that was like the 90s version of frontmen, you know, in like the 90s you had all the guys like Eddie Vedder and Chad Kroger, or Scott Stapp, you know. That was kind of
I know
that was their version. Their
Brandon-
version was like the wow, you know.
Brandon's a huge fan of that 90s Jarl.
The 90s
He
is
loves
literally one of the worst decades of
No,
music
that
ever.
was like one of the last good ones. It's not the best, but it was one of the last good ones, I think.
I
It was
agree.
all right.
I agree. Did you just find it boring, Rex? Because it's like, so that's the question that came to mind. That's why I texted you the other day. I was listening to like Presence, and I was like,
God.
I bet Rex is fucking just like, man, fuck these guys. Why are they making me listen to this grandpa rock? You know, that's kind of what my thought process was.
The only album out of this that I fucking was like, what the fuck am I listening to? It's like an Elvis wannabe harder rock album is Coda. Is that what it's called?
So yeah, that's all the B-sides that they had
is that
when
a
John Bonham.
B-sides?
Yeah, John Bonham
Yeah.
died right after In Through the Outdoor. And
Right.
Which
so
also
they
wasn't
had
that great of an album either.
I mean, yeah, those
They were falling
last
apart at that
three
point,
were
you know?
like not fully good albums. They had hits on them, but like they weren't a really cohesive.
Well, these should have remained B-sides
great
and unreleased.
set of songs.
Yeah, I
'Cause
mean,
this was a rough
I'll
one.
probably
It
be.
was-
I don't know if this is controversial, but I think Achilles' Last Stand is the only good song on Presence, and then All of My Love is like, well, All of My Love and Carousel Ambra. I like both of
Yeah.
those songs off of In Through the Outdoor, but like those last three are not. They ain't it, as the kids say.
Mid.
The anus.
Mid.
Extremely
Oh, that's a
mid.
good
Yeah,
one.
mid.
Yeah.
Mid, yeah,
I don't even know if mid.
It's mid.
If there's fucking 4 good songs amongst 3 albums, I don't know if that's.
That's
mid.
not even mid. That's
Yeah.
sus.
And the thing with Coda sucks because it's like a contractual obligation thing. Like they had one album left in their contract, but Bonham died, so they were just like, "Fuck it, these songs are the most put together of the bunch." Release
Like
it,
BT
call it
Band with
Coda.
Victory Records, they just put out a
Right.
greatest hits album.
Right.
Exactly.
And it's
Yeah,
like
a lot
one
of bands
the best
use the
greatest
greatest
hits albums
method.
ever.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. Sometimes
Yeah,
you
but it
can
was,
get away with it.
You can make bank with a greatest hits album. Then
Oh, for
Hell
sure.
yeah.
it has
Who's
only the
got
good
the best
songs.
greatest hits
It's-
album?
Yeah. I'm sorry. What were you saying?
Who's got the best one? We've talked about it before.
BT
Pratt.
Bam for sure.
Oh, the best greatest hits? Probably the Eagles,
like-
bro.
Oh, that.
That was probably like
greatest
no
hits. I
way.
thought you were talking about covers.
No,
For
who is it?
me,
We've talked about this.
It's Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers.
Oof,
that is
True.
the
that's a
best
fucking-
greatest hits.
That's
of
the
all
ones that
time.
we were
Of a
talking
greatest
about. But
hits
that's
album,
just
too.
See, I'm
that's
like
better.
I'm a sucker for Lionel Richie, but I know none of you will agree with me on that.
Richie. What the
Dude,
fuck?
Lionel Richie rules, dude.
I mean, I don't got a problem with him. I just did not expect him to be brought up in this fucking conversation.
Oh, he's got some bangers, bro.
Talking about Lionel Richie on a Led
But
Zeppelin.
Rex, what album would
answer-
you choose?
The album I would choose would probably be the one Moby Dick is on.
Two.
Two.
So
Okay,
this is-
so I don't know the album names. You put up the list,
Yeah.
and when I
Two is
listen
the-
to it, it
two
goes in
is
order
the-
from top to bottom, but it doesn't give me album names on the list. So the only one I know is just
I'm sorry.
yeah. So it's two. So two is probably the one I like the best. And when I was listening to it, I just noticed a lot more. Like Heartbreaker was pretty good.
Fuck
the
hell
Lemon
yeah,
song.
finally, dude.
Uh,
Give me that.
You know, the like that. So this one just caught my attention the most outside of Coda, because Coda, like, it was like an abrupt change, it felt like to me.
Yeah.
Like I was
Yeah.
listening to it before we started. I was finishing it up, playing some Call of Duty, and I was just like, what the fuck am I listening to right now? I thought it like went to where like when you're done with the list, it starts adding shit in, and I was like, shit must have ended. And I looked and I was like, what the hell am I listening to? This is crazy. Like this is such a
B-sides,
dramatic
baby.
change. Yeah, and it sounded like he was trying to do an Elvis kind of song. What's the song? I gotta look right now. I think I'll remember it. It's I think I Can't Quit You, Baby.
Okay.
Mhm.
So
I'm pretty sure, yeah. Or
There's a-
no, Ozone Baby. I'm sorry, Ozone Baby is the one I'm thinking of.
here's a hilarious little side tangent that you should go on if you never have, and it ties into your comment right there. there is a band out there called Led Zeppelin that play Led Zeppelin covers with a front man who sings every song like Elvis Presley. And like he'll
That's
use
awesome.
Elvis lyrics and intertwine them with Zeppelin lyrics and shit. And like some of the songs are like reggae based and shit. But they'll cover Zeppelin songs, the whole instrumentation, everything. You almost couldn't tell sometimes, just sped up a little bit, but with Elvis. I don't know. I just had to, you brought it up
That's
when you brought up
interesting.
Elvis. So yeah, if you're curious, you probably won't be, but fuck it, I had to throw it out there. This is also a first for this because I don't think we've ever unanimously agreed on something. But yeah, 2 is my favorite Zeppelin as well. And I was about to say, like, how come nobody brought up Heartbreaker? And then Rex, you fucking brought it up. Heartbreaker is such a sick ass song. That solo in that song, the way it falls silent first and then just starts shredding back into it, and then the whole band joins back in. So sick. Such a great album.
Jimmy Page is a god, man. He's a freaking nature.
I also didn't know that this stuff was like about Lord of the Rings, which is tight.
Yeah. Well, speaking of that, let's see if Brandon wants to ask his question then, because I thought it ties into that, doesn't it?
Oh no, it definitely doesn't. Which one of them was fucking a 14-year-old girl?
Ew.
You talk about
Karl
Almost
Malone?
Famous.
Probably all of them.
Yeah, but which one was like generally reported? Was it
All of
Jimmy
them.
Page or
It's
Robert?
Jimmy Page.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's Jimmy Page. Yeah.
Shame.
Is that who Brandon Lee played? Or right? That's who played the lead singer? Or Jason
No,
Lee?
that's Billy Crudup in Almost Famous, the guy with the mustache.
Oh.
He's supposed to be Jimmy Page.
Wait, is Stillwater a surrogate for Led Zeppelin?
Yeah, because Cameron Crowe growing up was an actual magazine editor, just like
I knew about that.
editor.
Yeah,
and that he didn't have the rights to use the Led Zeppelin story, so he created Stillwater as a vehicle to tell his story about the time he toured with Led Zeppelin. So a lot of those things we see actually happened to Zeppelin.
Yeah,
but they used the guys of Stillwater.
I mean, he got with Penny Lane when she was,
16.
Yeah, that's the
15.
most I know
In the
about
movie.
Led Zeppelin is from that movie.
In the
Almost
movie.
Famous.
And that's still bad enough.
And another interesting little fact is at the time, Zeppelin was like notoriously stingy letting people use their music for movies. But because Cameron Crowe had toured with them, they let him use 3 songs for that soundtrack. Yeah, which is unprecedented.
In that song.
Mm-hmm.
Or in that movie.
Yeah, so Almost Famous too.
Tight.
We can't talk Zeppelin and not talk Almost Famous, but we'll save that for maybe the very end of the episode because I'm gonna have to say a few things. But yeah, so Danny, you picked this band, so tell us what they mean to you.
Dude, I literally played drums because of John Bonham. I grew up listening to a lot of classic music with my dad and stuff. He's not the biggest Zeppelin fan. He got me into bands like Boston and Kansas and shit like that. But I kind of found Zeppelin towards the end of high school and like into my college years. And I don't know what it was, man, but it's just like the free flow form of drumming that he has. I always like these unique drummers that do different things. I'm always impressed by the way that it sounds like he's got a double bass, but he doesn't. He uses one foot. And like watching that live concert, God, I can't remember what it's called. You can literally see him doing it, and it blows you away because it's not easy. Like as someone that plays the drums, they're not easy to play. But yeah, just listening to a lot of this when I played my drums, man. How could you not love a band like Led Zeppelin? I still tell people they paved the way for so many bands nowadays. But yeah, I've always had a strong connection with the band. They're definitely one of my top 5 for sure.
Is the live performance from The Song Remains the Same?
Correct, I believe.
Okay.
Yes.
I think that was a movie, right, Aaron?
It was, yeah.
Yeah. I believe that's what it's from. But yeah, that's where he does Moby Dick, and it's an amazing, amazing performance.
So, Rex, why don't you tell us how someone can not love Led Zeppelin?
This is...
I just don't like his voice. He just has one of those voices I just never cared about in that early time of music, but I also was never exposed to it as a kid. Because again, as I've said on here before, you guys know my brother. You know what he listened to back in friggin' 2000 when I was just a
ICP.
kid. Yeah, exactly. That's not really Led Zeppelin or anything. And my mom, I've mentioned before, she listened to Enya and all that kind of stuff. So
Enya, that's
none of this
awesome.
was ever brought to my attention, really. My friends didn't listen to this, most of them. So, yeah, I was never really exposed to it. So coming to now and listening to stuff like this, like them and Motley Crue, Poison, not that they're all the same, but just examples of like that, like music from those eras that I just wasn't a fan of, like Guns N' Roses, stuff like that. And these guys, they kind of fall in that with me. I'm just not a huge fan of the way they sing. Like they're just like, yeah, like it's cool, like it's cool, but like I'm just not into that. Like it's never been my style, my cup of tea. Every time I've listened to it, like Stairway to Heaven's cool, but it's still not one that I'm like that like brought me into this band and reeled me in and made me listen to everything else and get over it. Like it's all cool. Like listening to it now didn't bother me. It's not my favorite. And that's what I'll say about that.
It's too bad, man.
It's too bad. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it's great. It's really cool. They do like Bond said about Lord of the Rings. I love Lord of the Rings. So that's super awesome. Like the movie Almost Famous. I like that movie a lot. And it's really cool when Practical told me that it was basically about Led Zeppelin. Like, oh, that's cool. And I've liked all that. But then when I listen to the music, it just doesn't resonate with me.
Hell yeah. I get that. I mean, it's not for everybody. And there's all kinds of things about Led Zeppelin I could see people hating, to be completely honest, which is a good segue into what I was going to bring up with me. Like, my dad is a huge Led Zeppelin fan, and Bonham is the reason he plays drums. And he wanted me to get into Zeppelin early on. And in high school, I thought Led Zeppelin fucking sucked. I was like only listening to grunge music at the time, and I thought that they were just lame as shit. And like, I remember I was in a music class in high school, and Zeppelin would come up and I would just openly talk shit about them and stuff. Like, but it was mostly just because like I was pretty inexperienced with them. I'd only heard the songs my dad had shown me, and I never really like dove into them or gave them a real honest chance. I was just hating to hate. But I'm glad I did, because they're the reason that I play the drums as well. Bonham is just impressive. He's not like the most super advanced drummer in the world, but he's precise at what he does in a way that no one else can be. And then, Danny brought up the double kick pedal with 1 foot thing. That was something my dad brought up to me at the time, and I remember him just being like, isn't that awesome? Because he's basically, doing the double kick. I mean, he was just stoked to tell me about it. And then every time I'd listen to Zeppelin after that and could hear it in the headphones and realize that's 1 foot. Like, yeah,
Yeah, and he would do triples sometimes, and for me, like I always remember it's a Zeppelin song, obviously by hearing it, but like you can always hear like the squeaking of his kick pedal sometimes, especially on like Babe, I've Been Missing You. It's just like super like quiet, and you can hear it just like it's so funny. But yeah, it's impressive what he does with those things. It's crazy.
We need more cowbell.
Same thing with Jimmy Page, and Robert Plant, even John Paul Jones. They're all like precise and perfect at what they do, and without one of them, you don't have Led Zeppelin, and that's why we don't have a modern Led Zeppelin, because the band felt the same way, and I think that's pretty awesome. But we haven't heard from Brandon yet. What's your exposure to the Zeppelin, and what got you into them?
The radio.
Good old radio.
I mean,
that's what the radio was for.
I
So
mean,
that's
fair.
perfect.
That's
I mean, that's where I first heard them, and then with the advent of illegally downloading music, I downloaded their entire discography. And
LimeWire.
No, I was torrenting in these days. I was downloading.
Oh, you gotta get those torrents, dude.
Hell yeah.
Pirate Bay.
What other torrents are you downloading?
Shout out.
I wonder if that shit is still going. I don't want to give my computer AIDS, but
it's still out there.
Still going.
It's still going. Yeah.
Or the FBI fucking breaking down.
I
my
may
door.
or may not have used it.
I mean, would you even need to these days with like the access? Oh, the access. Anyway, yeah, no, I did a deep dive with them in my early 20s. At one time, may have considered them like a top 10 band. But up until Danny had suggested we do this, I probably hadn't listened to them in probably years. So, Yeah, I mean, I still like them, but like they're not something that I have in my rotation.
Oh yeah, they don't meet your requirements of hot chick singers and devil worshippers.
No, I mean that's like what I'm like goth rock and
My
fucking
top 5
death
there.
metal, dude.
There you go.
Big titty goth
Jimmy
singers
Page
and
loves Satan. All right.
Oh, he's all about the occult, dude.
Bullshit. That's loud. I bet you he. I mean, maybe he did
No,
like 14-year-old girls, and I bet you there's
Motherfucker,
Satan in
he
that pussy.
loves Satan. I ain't fucking around. Like he's
That's a place to find Satan.
He went to
Yeah.
he went to Polanski Prep, dude.
Yeah. He went to. He was on the set of Rosemary's Baby one day, and he was like, "Polanski, dude, I got some ideas for you."
Jesus
all right.
Christ.
Well, let's talk a little controversy with Led Zeppelin. You can't even bring them up and not bring up all the times they've been taken to court over stealing guitar riffs and borrowing things
Yeah,
from
what's up with
blues
that?
rock and
I
shit.
heard
Yeah.
about that recently too, and that kind of soured
Well,
me a
that's
little bit on them too,
unfortunate.
because it's like pretty credible.
Well, I mean, it's
Oh,
all
is it?
perspective. If you pull up the songs that they're being accused for stealing, you can't hear hardly any similarities. It's really just like when it comes to guitar riffs, just even the most precise piece of a note can get you taken to court. So it's like if you borrow just a tiny note because it's part of your scale and you do it in the same time and everything like that, it'll sound like you're ripping them off. But then listening to it in the big picture, they don't really sound similar at all. I mean, there's a couple instances where they do. Zeppelin's been taken to court for this at least 5 or 6 times.
Yeah.
So,
That's
I
you
mean,
know,
crazy.
rap and hip hop is built on stealing other people's music
Right?
and sampling it and
Yeah.
shit.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but they also don't make money off that stuff though.
I mean,
Like Lil
it's
Dicky's
usually
got that EP that's been out that's like one of his best, but he doesn't make a dime off it because he stole all the beats for it.
well, I mean, like with
Essentially.
sampling and shit. That I mean, you know, is there different rules for taking sections of something, or maybe they have fallen out of copyright or something like that? I don't, you know, there's lots of loopholes and shit to that kind of stuff too.
Rappers most of the time will just get permission to use that. If they're going to release a major label debut album, they'll just get permission, and
Hell
they'll only get a percentage of the song because they're using a chunk of somebody else's work. But hey, you still get the exposure and shit, and you know, if it goes well, it's probably worth it to a lot of them.
Yeah, and I mean, if it's a big hit in that genre of music, it's usually at like top of the billboards. So
Yeah,
that
exactly.
means money.
They got the money to lay down. Like Dr. Dre, you know, he's famous for sampling all kinds of early like blues and jazz shit, but he paid up to those people. He didn't just rip it off, you know. Like if you rip it off, most of the time it's called a mixtape, and you don't get money for
well,
it.
and I didn't mean that in like a derogatory sense. I meant that I was kind of just being alliterative, you know, just like.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I think Jimmy Page probably did borrow some things from those things he was influenced from. You know, everybody does that. It's just, you know, you can't make it so close to it that you're getting taken to court all the time. And let's face it, getting going like 4 or 5 times means there's something to it.
We had a friend in high school in our little garage band who couldn't write a riff that wasn't already a Chevelle riff.
That's true. That's
What were
very
you
true.
guys called, Nova or what?
We went through various names. One of them was like Stillborn. Remember that shit?
Jesus.
Yeah. Pretty rough. Pretty
God.
brutal.
Yo, what's
That's
up? We're
fucking
placenta
sweet.
from Reno.
Oh,
God.
All right. Well, a couple other things come to mind. So with Led Zeppelin, they were considered classic rock when we were growing up, and now, like that's what makes me laugh with Rex is like, fuck, it was old man rock to us. So it's like another generation down. How do you
what do
feel
you
like?
even call that?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's still classic rock, I guess, because there's stuff that predates Zeppelin that would still be considered classic rock too,
Right.
you know. But then there's like doo-wop on the breakdown, you know. So like it goes farther and farther back. But Zeppelin is one of the biggest names in rock and roll. So how long do you think they're going to be known for? You know, like
What point does rock, modern rock, or just at any point in time in history become like how old does it have to be and how popular does it have to be to become
what's an
classic rock?
antique?
20 years?
25 years? What's
20
an
years?
antique?
Yeah,
So
no.
fucking
Yeah.
goddamn Creed is classic rock.
Fuck
Rage Against the Machine. I
Yep.
hear that shit on classic rock
Yep.
radio now and shit. Yeah, exactly.
All that stuff is. I think like 20 years is the classic mark. Like,
Okay. Well, it also
Same
has to
thing
be
for like a
popular
classic
enough.
vehicle too. You know?
Remember, you can't just be like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, this song that 15 people heard from 1992 is classic rock. It's like,
You
no,
just got to
that's
connect it with
just
Boomerang. If the song came out at the same time the cartoon ends up on Boomerang, it's classic. That's just how it works.
That's
I
funny.
think Zeppelin is mad influential, though. Like you think about like the history of rock and what bands like Zeppelin, Deep Purple, and Black Sabbath did for not only hard rock but heavy metal. And I mean, like you got to think like at the time in '69, hearing Communication Breakdown, or
Yeah, 69.
that shit was probably, parents were probably like, "What is this shit? What is
All
this
right.
Satan's rock?" Like, yeah.
Night in Satan's
I
service.
got some for those people.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, some Detroit Rock City shit, like
Mhm.
bitches just screaming at the top of her lungs over Kiss. It's so funny.
That's fucked up.
Yeah. I mean, what kind of impact do you think modern bands? Because that's what I was getting at. Do you think a modern band can have that same kind of impact? Like,
Not,
No,
I mean, you've got a band
no,
like, look at Greta
not at
Van
all.
Fleet. Greta Van Fleet is the closest thing to Led Zeppelin, but not close, if that makes any sense. The front man sounds like Robert Plant. He's fucking really good. He's got a great high voice. The musicians are fucking great. I think two of them are brothers. But like, again, like you were saying earlier, it's that core four, man. Like you don't, even when Led Zeppelin did that like reunion show or whatever at the O2 Arena in London a few years back, they used John Bonham's son, which is fine. I mean, Jason Bonham is a fucking great drummer too, but he's not his fucking dad, like,
yeah, they have totally different styles. Yeah.
and it was still a great show from what I understand, but like, it's just not the same,
No, there won't be a band ever like that again because
No.
this day's audience doesn't want to hear something like that and
Correct.
something complex
Right.
that can last through the ages. And they've traded quality for more mediocrity in
These
this type of
fucking
music
pop
like
girls got a
playing.
better chance of having a lasting impression.
Yeah, Sabrina Carpenter has a
Right.
better chance of lasting forever
She's like the
than
new Britney
any
Spears.
band.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, I think that's, if you're anything but like something like that, I think there's just a lower ceiling in general because people's tastes are so segmented, and like you can find your niche genre and listen to that. It's very accessible these days, to just find something. And now those people have their 250,000 fans. It's probably about as much as they're ever going to get. They're going to be filling theaters for the rest of their career. But to be like on the Sabrina Carpenter level, you already, especially as a rock band, you already have to be very well established. Like, Motley Crue's fucking filling up stadiums, and they got a fucking rotting cheeseburger as a lead singer, dude. Like, and that can't even sing, barely. Like, come on. And that's
man.
because they have that built-in like audience of fucking the past 50 years or whatever it is. I think the ceiling for rock and roll, at least in America, because a lot of the more modern rock that I listen to and find is from overseas, and like rock and roll is still huge in Europe and in like the Scandinavian countries, and just rock and roll isn't what's happening in the States these days. So I just, like I said, I think there's just a lower ceiling in general for it. And it makes me want to blow up a school.
Well, I mean, to play devil's advocate, it's kind of always been that way.
Man, holy shit!
I mean,
fuck.
In a video game.
Think about.
I don't know if that's any better.
Think about the past, though. Like some of the most dominant rock bands of all time are from overseas, even still. Fucking Iron Maiden, AC/DC, the Rolling Stones, the Beatles, Led Zeppelin, Black Sabbath. Like almost every influential band has never come from America. Like honestly,
like,
I think in the rock and roll.
What about Bruce Springsteen?
Well, but I mean, like Bruce Springsteen is like absolute garbage, though. Like, he doesn't represent shit to me. Like,
boss.
I mean, Bob Dylan is pretty influential, and he's from the States. You got the Doors,
Metallica, Megadeth.
I'm talking about more from Led Zeppelin's era too. Like anyway. I just wanted to get the Doors in there.
The biggest band that
I don't blame
sells
you.
stadiums is something like Imagine Dragons, but they didn't have no start off. That was like some kind of rubber plant band that all of a sudden appeared
Imagine
out of
Dragons
nowhere,
is hot garbage.
and they sold stadiums.
Yeah, that's because that kind of music appeals to the lowest common denominator. You
Exactly,
know,
but most people
fucking
average listen to the
are
lowest common denominator
stupid,
on
yeah.
that. So that's why we're not even in a generation of things that last forever. Like a lot of movies aren't ones that'll last forever, like we've listened to, that are just timeless. A lot of music that we have nowadays isn't as timeless as it used to be. It's just we're in this weird kind of recycle era where a lot of stuff is just recycled. And anyways, with rap being pretty much the all in one genre now, it's really hard for any type of rock band to shine anymore that hasn't already been pre-established, like you said. Like
All
garage
Them
bands.
Witches is a fucking great. I wanted to use them as an example. They're a great all American rock band. They've been around for a while, and they're mid level. They should be fucking selling out big because they're fucking fantastic. And yeah, they're
That's how I feel about
mid-level, man.
Bayside, but it's just, it's not, it's, I can't even think of what it is, but it's just, yeah, that'll never be. It's not what people look for these days. Led Zeppelin also was at a time when music wasn't so accessible. Like you were saying, like somebody can just find their niche. They can just go on Spotify and look at the weirdest music
Yeah.
and find something weird, and they get into that, where like back then you had what the CD store sold.
Yeah.
Which there
like
was still a
hyper
lot of
specific, hyper
options.
focusing on like I only want to be into Britpop, so that's all I'm ever going to listen to.
Yeah, so like
that
back
kind of shit
then
exists these days. Like, and it's more general and like widespread than it used to be. Like obviously back in the I think that kind of culture always existed where you just hyper focus on a specific genre, but nowadays it's just you could do that very easily, with very little effort.
And there's also that problem that, Practical always says, is that not everything is made for everybody, and
That's
too
good.
many people try to make everything for what they make for everybody. So even though we have this like hyper focus of niches, we still have this problem where people are like, what am I saying? They're just I smoked a little too much, but I know what I'm saying.
Hey!
That where it's hyper focused, but then again, they're also trying to make their sound and stuff accessible to the masses. So they're trying to juggle this 2-part thing, but they're still landing, in my opinion, just kind of flat. Which obviously, you guys are older, I'm older now, so we're not the young generation. And Practical said one time, and I believe it. The young generation drives what's in. But
yeah, they always have.
just in
yeah.
my opinion, in my generation of music, like I think Bayside is like one of the best bands I've ever heard, but it'll never be ever be something remembered like Led Zeppelin.
But now you have stuff like Fiend.
It's just a different time. Like even with rap, like no one will ever be remembered like, Eazy-E, Tupac, Eminem. Like they're still like these young boy Cardi and stuff like that. I don't think will ever be somebody who's reached that level of not infamy, of just.
I mean, I know he's really big and really well respected, but I don't even think Kendrick Lamar will be as remembered as like guys from the 90s and the 80s. He might be well regarded, but he'll never be to that level.
Almost.
I don't know. He's been going pretty strong for 15
Super Bowl
years.
is a big step. That was huge, but
No, he's
been
Kendrick
big,
is
man.
good, but
like he's been big. King Kunta, like think about how far back that was. Like I don't know. Like I think Kendrick is probably one of those guys that will leave a mark, just like Drake.
he might have broken through that little wall.
Yeah, I think so because he started as one of Dr. Dre's boys. He got massive, promotion because of that, and then pretty much every album he's dropped since his second album has been like a big deal. Like people wait for it. Damn, Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers, this new album. I think he's one of those guys that the longevity's there.
I mean, the longevity's there for sure, but I still feel like he came a little too late after the time of when people remember greats like this. And I'm not trying to diss Kendrick. I like Kendrick. I like J. Cole. There's a few that I think are really good and stand out for like a long time, but I still don't think personally they'll ever have the standout notion like Eminem and Dr. Dre and all of them. it's just a different time. I don't know. It's weird. Like people still listen to Metallica, you know, like their old stuff 50 years later, like it's the new stuff. But is there going to be people doing that with like Imagine Dragons in 50 years? I just don't think so.
I mean,
you
like
like
you guys
Imagine
are saying,
Dragons, bro?
They're just a band that I think that came out of nowhere that was all of a sudden selling stadiums and stuff, and they're a terrible rock band.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say I've pretty much
So it's
seen
like
the crowd that goes to that, and I'm like, yeah, that's like a different crowd. So I'm sure that's why they're selling out. But yeah, I don't know.
It was just my point of a rock band that sells really big, but that isn't a band that has longevity in any way or any
Right.
type of like Led Zeppelin. Even though I'm not a big fan of Led Zeppelin, I can see why. I can hear why.
Imagine Dragons is for like people who watch One Piece or some shit.
Right.
I'm over here trying to recover from even anyone calling Imagine Dragons rock. I'm just like, fuck, man,
I don't know
really?
what you call it, but they have a guitar and like it comes on the rock radio and stuff. Like, man, I've listened to them for like 10 years and I've never, because I work in grocery stores and stuff. So like they have the radio on repeat. That's why I'll never forgive Mariah Carey for making
song of theirs.
That's the only song I know.
You're probably hearing some Zeppelin on there too, though. I remember
No,
hearing
for sure.
like,
I hear some weird things sometimes now, but I'll never forgive Mariah Carey and her whatever I want for Christmas.
Oh,
All
God.
I want for Christmas is you. I can't.
I'm so glad I only have to hear restaurant or grocery store music in very specific situations nowadays.
It's rough, man. They changed it up this last year, though.
What?
Mike.
So getting back to Led Zeppelin,
Zeppelin.
Jimmy Page is somebody that we talked a little bit about. Well, we mostly shit talked him, but let's talk seriously about his guitar abilities and his influence on modern rock, just him himself. Because I don't know if you guys have ever seen this movie. If you haven't, it's pretty cool. It's called It Might Get Loud, and it's like Jimmy Page from Led Zeppelin, Jack White, and Bono from U2. I don't know, he sucks, but
no, the Edge,
or not Bono, Edge. I mean, it's the Edge. Yeah,
man, that guy does suck.
So it's those three guys, and they're hanging out in a room, and they're like teaching each other their riffs. And when you see Jimmy Page play some of those iconic riffs, it's just so fucking cool. It's badass, you know. And like, the two dudes in the room with him are influenced by him, because not only do they say so, but like, who that has picked up a guitar is not influenced by Jimmy Page,
right?
And that kind of plays into your point about Bonham and the drums. That's usually people will usually say Bonham, so it's like Page also for guitar players. You know what I mean?
But dude, and the fact that he mastered, a 12-string, he was so good at classical guitar. He did play a little bit of mandolin on some of the tracks. It's just he wrote one of the most iconic, solos of all time with Stairway, and he's one of those guys that's like cemented in guitar playing. You talk about Jimi Hendrix and Eric Clapton and all these other guys, but like everybody has to say Jimmy Page. So yeah, he has that influence, and he makes it look effortless. I know what you're talking about, that like documentary or whatever it is, but he's also one of those guitar players. I always laugh looking at his mouth when he plays guitar, because like in the early days, his hair was always in his face, because his black hair, just satanic looking motherfucker, just like shredding like the devil. But in that documentary, like it looks like he's like trying to suck something out of his teeth, like. But I noticed that a lot of guitar players do something like that as like a form of concentration, of like hitting the fret and stuff like that. Do you notice that, Aaron, when you play?
Yeah, and when I play the drums too,
when I play the drums, I'm doing the fucking.
Yeah,
I'm Josh Eppert from fucking Coheed and Cambria, bro. That's me.
It's
dog.
like just go. It's like you're jonesing for some rock while you're playing.
For sure.
Yeah, like. Yeah, no, it happens with the guitar too, because like, say you're doing something intricate for the first time, or something that's difficult for you. Everybody makes the tongue, up, pressed up against their mouth, like, oh damn, this is tricky. Like, same thing with that type of riffage. And I remember Jimmy Page has a ton of those riffs. Like, you got to do some fancy shit with your fingers to play some of those riffs. So yeah, 100%. And that's what's great is growing up listening to those bands and playing multiple instruments, learning from a band like Led Zeppelin kind of sets the stage, because again, they're all so precise. Like, I mean, even John Paul Jones as a bass player, like I said, he's nothing to slouch at. He's even gone on to produce some really great rock albums too. And like, then I think he did that album with
Vultures.
them Crooked Vultures. Yeah. So he's also an all around guy, and I enjoy him quite a bit as a bass player. So yeah, man, I just love Led Zeppelin. I mean, I'm sad that they didn't hit for you, Rex. It's unfortunate, but they can't all be zingers, like Bont had said earlier.
I think this era for me, the best for me is Pink Floyd.
Pink Floyd.
I really like Pink Floyd. Not a big fan of Dark Side of the Moon, but everything else after Syd Barrett, actually. Everything after Syd Barrett, except for Dark Side of the Moon, is freaking awesome. But I don't know. That was just one of those one-offs, just random one-offs.
No, Rex.
That's some
What?
wild
No.
shit. Yeah.
Why?
Syd Barrett fucking rules. I'll kill you.
Look, he was just more about psychedelic like visuals than he was about his music. He cared more about the show than he did about what he recorded.
And that's why
that
he went crazy.
Yeah, but that still doesn't mean that just because he was like that, his albums are better. Like, no, those albums are okay.
No way,
like
man.
Mother
They're
Spaceship or
Ride up,
whatever.
Mike.
It's all right. It's all right.
What's the lyric in that song? Like, I live next door to a mouse and his name is Gerald. Some shit like that,
hell?
dude. That fucking song rules, dude.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
It's just
By the way, Pink Floyd just hit more for me than these
Pink
guys. But
Floyd's
again, it was 7.5 hours of music, or 7 hours of music I had to cram into a week. And it's not like a movie where like I can watch it and absorb a lot of it. There's so many layers, like an onion, like an ogre. So many layers to music, and it's really hard. Even if I like something, I'm like, fuck.
well,
But
I'll remember
What
that
band-
when Bayside comes around.
look, man, I'm not hating on Led Zeppelin. I don't say anything bad about them. I just said they weren't for me. Like, I don't
know. It's hard for me to compare Pink Floyd to Led Zeppelin. Maybe that's just
I
me.
don't compare them. I just mean music from this decade and era, like 60s, 70s, 80s, stuff like that. Like, out of all them, Pink Floyd, not that they're the same, is just the one I've liked.
Gotcha.
I mean,
I don't really
maybe
compare them.
Kind of similar, but maybe you might like more. And I mentioned them earlier, but I just really like these guys. The Doors.
Oh, hell yeah. The Doors are great.
The Doors,
I
they
haven't
got
listened
some.
really to them at all, so
Dude, man. They will fuck you up good.
Jim
I love
Morrison
the
is a
Doors.
god.
And
The
Robbie
Lizard
Krieger,
King.
he's a
Robbie
different
Krieger,
type of
dude.
guitar player. He's like a more pure rock and roll guitar player. They have some like I'm not really like I don't really know that much about like the inner workings of music, but he's like a good ass rock and roll dude.
Oh, he's very
got
good. Ray Manzarek
keyboard.
on the fucking organ, dude, or keyboard. So
Yeah.
good.
Anyway,
again,
Led
I
Zeppelin.
don't dislike these guys at all, but a lot to digest in just this first run through. It was just not my full cup of tea, but I also don't like everything Pink Floyd put out.
I don't know how you can, but that we'd have to save that for another episode.
Yeah, but anyways, like, I'll probably listen to these guys again sometime, especially what is the album called? 2?
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
Led Zeppelin.
Just 2.
But
I'll
also
probably
with
listen to
Pink
that album
Floyd, I
again.
don't think Led Zeppelin would ever put out something that wasn't absolutely perfect in their eyes. And Pink Floyd is more willing to put out experimental shit and be like, yo, this is what we did over a summer, taking a lot of fucking psychedelics. You
But
might
they
like
also
it, you might
hated each
not.
other. They also hated
We
each
went
other
to
most of the time.
Pompeii.
Yeah.
What is
yeah.
his name? They're like
Roger Waters and fucking David Gilmour fucking
David. Yeah, them. They
Did not.
fucking did not like each other at
Mm-mm.
all.
That
So
brings up kind of an excellent point, though, because there are like Pink Floyd is a good example, and so is Fleetwood Mac. Both of those bands went through so many changes before they became the bands we know them as, really,
Right.
in a lot of ways. Like Fleetwood Mac was kind of semi-successful, but until Buckingham and Nicks joined the band, that's when they catapulted, right? Pink Floyd, same thing. They were kind of coming up in a time period where they didn't really know what they wanted to be. So those real early albums, like the first 6 or 7, are like, God, they're just not
they're
very good.
fucking
They're
delic.
not very good.
Hell
60s
yeah.
Pink Floyd is a different
But-
animal for sure.
Yes, Sid Barrett's Pink Floyd is
different times, and that's a
Oh my
big point
God.
for Led Zeppelin, And one thing that I wanted to bring up with Zeppelin is kind of like the Beatles thing. They were really only a solid band for 10 years,
Right.
And look at the mark that they left on music. Same thing with the Beatles, 10-year run. They're done. Actually, I think Beatles is even less, like 8 years or something like that. But like, they left their footprint in rock music, and it's just like such a short career versus some of the bands you see still performing fucking today. Like Deep Purple still tours, the Scorpions still tour. Like the Scorpions are another one we didn't bring up with the British invasion shit, but they were huge too, and Judas Priest, and like
they're not
that
British,
whole
they're
70s,
German.
80s and shit. Well, just European,
Oh.
is what I mean. Like just that they called it the British invasion at the time because it was mostly British bands, but yeah, they're just like European coming over, flooding into America and shit. And just so many of those bands, and Zeppelin being got to be like the biggest one, maybe next to Sabbath. When you think of rock bands that came out during that time period, those are like the two biggest for the era
For
post
sure.
Beatles. But yeah, so a couple more questions I have before we close it off for today. And one of those questions is, what are some of your favorite songs? Because we only really brought up stuff from like 2, but they've got a pretty big catalog. So I'm kind of wondering, what are some of Zeppelin's best tracks for you guys?
Rex, what are yours? Because you probably don't have any.
What do you mean? I named a couple already, butthole. Good listening. Good listening.
You butthole, it's such a good insult.
First one, the only one I can think of off it that I noticed was Black Mountain Side. That one was okay. The other ones I didn't really look too much. Yeah. I listened to the album that has Stairway to Heaven on it, and that album is just okay. I expected more.
Unbelievable.
Because that song was on it.
Your
But I
little
still like 2 more.
virgin ears.
Okay.
Smack
right.
you upside the head, boy.
It's all right.
Just let him get cut to whatever he wants to get cut to, dude.
Whatever, I guess. There's honestly too many
So
for me to
offended.
name. I mean, obviously Moby Dick. That's a big one for me. I like some of their
Nailed
slower
it.
shit though. Babe, I'm Gonna Leave You. Fucking great little ballad. Super bluesy. I like those first 2 albums because they're super bluesy. And then like 3 and 4, they kind of go outside of it. But Black Dog, Ron Your Stomp. There was one that I listened to. Boogie with Stu is an interesting one. I think that's off of not Presence.
Physical Graffiti.
Physical Graffiti, yeah, towards the end. I forgot how much I like that song too. But yeah, Achilles' Last Stand. In the Evening, that's such a sweet like opening riff. That square now, bow now, bow now. I like that. Even though that album is it's got that song and All My Love, maybe Fool in the Rain, but
Oh, my love.
yeah, those are the ones I will listen to. Those ones on repeat, and then obviously the first 2 albums, I can listen to every single song. Those are all hits for me.
Let me break it down for you.
Talk to you.
Dazed and Confused, Ramble On, Stairway to Heaven, Dire Maker, and Houses of the Holy. Those are my 5. And I'll cut you if you don't agree.
Interestingly, I agree with you about Dire Maker. That's a Bonham written song as well, so I fucking just love that song.
Bono wrote that song?
Bonham. John
No,
Bonham.
Bottom.
Hey, yo, Bono, can we get one from you?
See, it's hard to bring it down to just 5 like that. I commend you for doing that, but like Babe, I'm Gonna Leave You, Dazed and Confused, Dire Maker, Cashmere. I can't not bring Cashmere up. That song is so goddamn sick. Achilles' Last Stand. Like we're bringing them up because again, they're just a legendary band. So most people identify with the same absolute hitters. But I think Zeppelin's
Bunch
one
of
of those
sheep.
bands. Yeah.
That was a cheap. How?
No, he
What's
called it
cheap?
sheep.
Oh, I thought you said
What?
cheap. I was like, what is cheap?
All right. My follow-up question for that is, what do you think is Led Zeppelin's best quality, like musically? What draws you to them?
I like all four of their, like, what they're doing. All four of their assignments, they all stand out. Even John Paul Jones, I think he doesn't get enough credit. His bass licks are pretty fucking good. Good Times, Bad Times, dude. He's got that dank little bass solo. He did a lot of the keyboards, and I think he produced like the last couple albums that they did too. And Jimmy Page kind of took a back seat to it. So yeah, I think he doesn't get enough credit. He's an amazing bass player, but again, you put bass players as an example in this category of like top guys. It's pretty subjective. Like most people would be like, oh, Les Claypool or fucking who am I
Flea,
thinking?
Chili
Flea,
Peppers. Yeah.
But again, like I would say a guy like Victor Wooten, and people are like, who the fuck is Victor Wooten? Be like, yo, go on YouTube and look that guy up. That guy plays the bass pretty damn good. But like for me, I just feel like everybody always talks about Robert Plant and Jimmy Page and John Bonham, but like JPJ, he don't get enough credit, man.
There's this one guy on TikTok that's pretty good at the bass.
I've seen that guy. I can't remember what his name is. No, he's excellent. He's super good. Like he'll play shit without even like he's just tapping. He's not even plucking, dude. It's crazy.
Yeah, there's a lot of drummers like that on TikTok too. I see that are just like, what the fuck? How does he play that shit like that?
Don't you?
Oh yeah, I do. I know exactly who you're talking about. I was also going to bring up. I don't know if you've seen him. I forget his name. It's like shit. I can never remember.
The Spurs.
Yeah, that guy.
Oh,
Yeah,
dude,
that guy's
crazy.
a fucking animal.
He's
yeah, like
he is
seeing him play, like he'll one-handed play like Slipknot shit, and it's like, how the fuck are you doing that, dude?
I
like,
love that move
amazing.
that he does where he has the drumstick like on the hi-hat and he's using the other one like this, and it's like doing it's so crazy. If John Bonham saw that, he'd be like, what the fuck, dude? Like, and then he would just do it without one, like just magically because he was a freak.
As he passes out drunk and dies.
That sucks, man. That's horrible.
I know, it's a terrible way to go. I remember when I first read about that, and I'm like, damn, that's what ended Led Zeppelin.
Choking on vomit, man.
What about you two? What draws you to Led Zeppelin? Rex, I know the answer is nothing for you. But...
That's a 100%.
May surprise you.
No, well, hit me with it then. Surprise me.
I mean, these days, not too much. I think they're still, an iconic rock band, and they deserve their place in rock and roll history. But what originally had brought me to them is just their power. There's a lot of power in this band. There's a lot of good riffs. There's a lot of good times.
Bad times.
A lot of bad times. People were dazed. People were confused.
People were brown yard stomping, dude.
People were stomping.
Get your blues on, man.
So I'm going to start off by saying I don't blame Led Zeppelin in any way. It's more of a me problem.
Seems to always be your issue.
I have well, I mean, I can accept my problems, Danny. I don't blame them on other people. Pussy. Anyways, I'm surprised you can talk with all that dick in your mouth sucking on these Led Zeppelin guys. But anyways, no, it's me. I'm kind of stuck in my own genre that I like, that I grew up with. So all that emo crap and all that, halfway metal stuff, I'm still stuck in that kind of thing. So I look for a lot of that still, with a little mix of old stuff and new stuff. But I'm also real bad at listening to things that people show me and not just discovering it myself. Like someone will show me something, be like, this is sick. I'll listen to it. I'm like, yeah, that's cool. And like a while later, I'll listen to a song by them, and I'll be like, "Dude, this song is sick." And then I'll dive into everything, even though somebody already showed me.
You and I are two peas in a pod, Rex.
Yeah, I don't know if it's
Just
just
let me
me being
find
a
it out
fucking
on my own.
asshole.
The first thing you do is tell me to listen to it. I'm going to tell you, yeah, sure, and not listen to it.
Yeah, we
I don't
call
mean to do it.
those types of people pussies.
I don't mean to do it. It's just I'll listen to. I'm like, oh yeah, that's tight, and I'll make a note of it. But then like one day I'll actually listen to a song by them. I'm like, dude, these guys are tight, and I'll, like 21 Pilots. I listened to them. Someone showed me. And I was like, yeah.
God damn
Yeah.
you using these poor examples. 21
Yeah.
Pilots.
Yeah, that's a terrible example. If you like them.
Look,
We're talking about Led Zeppelin.
look. My point being, I know you got their dicks in your mouth, and you want to keep it that way. Led Zeppelin, not their fault. I'm sure they're great. A lot better than I give them credit for, even, but it's more my fault.
Hey, bro, they already laughed their way to the bank, so there's nothing
Look,
you
yeah.
can say to hurt them.
I mean,
now.
I'm not.
300 million
I got no
units
beef
later.
against them. I just don't. I'm just
proud
not a
of those
huge fan of the
units.
singing style. That's all. That's probably the biggest detour for me.
The last thing I want to talk about is Robert Plant's pants.
And his dong always fucking front and
Dude,
center.
I
Pretty
thought
sure
that
they
was
were
a thing you
painted
showed
on.
off in the '60s. Like I thought the '60s it was known to
Yeah,
just
that
make
was
sure
that
your
was men's
dong.
version of cleavage was dongage, dude.
Hell yeah, dude.
It was the moose knuckle.
Yep. Moose knuckle
Mine would
doesn't
look like
involve
I had
balls,
a little.
though.
I would just look like I had like 3 little grapes in my pants.
That's disgusting.
At least yours shows, man. Not people just be like, "What the fuck?"
Hey, I mean, it's like
Like,
it's
you got
no
a
different.
vagina?
It's no,
Brandon's got a mangina.
it's no different than like an attractive front woman fucking showing cleavage or like, it's the same shit. They know sex sells, and at the time in the '60s, that shit sold.
Nah,
So,
man, I think
dude
more
hanging
dudes should
dong.
fucking show dong. Like all the girls do it. Like why can't guys?
Yeah, look at Jim Morrison. Straight showed his
I
dong
don't
to
need
everybody.
people to see how small my dong is. It's already small
No, I'm
enough.
talking guys that are packing. Like if you
Oh
ain't
yeah,
got it, don't
yeah.
show
Good luck to you guys. Yeah,
it.
If they
but
wore
if
like
you're
a
not
little
showing
cap
it, then
over
they
their
just
head
already
and
know
their
you
dong
don't
was
got it.
still
It's
out.
a
Is that
it's a
legal?
rock and a hard place.
Okay. Well, Danny, what why don't you tell us a little bit about next week's episode? He's your last pick
God.
of the month.
Alfonso. I'm not going to say his last name because you guys laugh at me every time I do it. So
Say
Do
it. Say it.
Yeah, I
Let's
don't know
hear
how to
it.
pronounce
Let's
it.
hear
I'm
it,
not
pussy.
laughing.
Alfonso C.
Alfonso Cuarón.
Croissant. Whatever. Croissant.
Just call him Alfonso Cuarón,
Croissant?
dude.
Croissant.
Corone.
Okay, whatever.
Corone.
That
Corone?
works. Corone.
Just call him Lonzo. Lonzo C.
Call him LC.
Shut up. Damn it. Yeah, no, I just I like some of the movies on there. I have not seen all of them. I'm pulling a Rex move here this week.
Oh.
So I haven't
Hell yeah.
seen what is it, Coda and then Ichu Mama Tambien, but I have seen the other 3. So should be interesting.
Hell
Harry
yeah.
Potter sucks.
Oh yeah, Harry Potter is awesome.
Yeah, that
What? What?
Is-
Why? Where'd that come from?
He directed
he
the
directed
third
one
movie.
of them. Yeah.
If he directed any of them past 2, he's probably fucking
Third
awesome.
movie.
He did the third. That dude's already my hero. Hell
Third
yeah, that's
movie,
like the best one. Hell
Thank you very much, Rex.
boy.
Love to hear it. Hell
Am
yeah.
I to understand that we're watching that third movie just by itself in the
That'd be sick.
prep for this?
100%.
Yes,
it's in
and I
there,
watched
dude. Are you
them
kidding
today.
me?
All right. Well, there you have it, folks. Next week we'll be talking Alfonso C. That's all I'm going to call his ass too.
LC.
See, you
We'll
know.
play that shit safe.
Alfonso
hell
C.
Today was Led Zeppelin. We thank you for joining us. This is your host, Practical.
DANNY BOY. Boy, me, Danny.
All right.
Rex.
Hey, that was so much better
Yo,
than
what's
that
up,
whisper shit.
Brandon? You guys have a great night. Eat some fruit.
Eat some fruit.
Eat some fruit.
Did not think that was what you were gonna say.
Are you honestly going to tell me, Rex, that you are never going to get down to a Led Zeppelin song? Is that what you're trying to tell me?
No, I'm not gonna beat it to a Led Zeppelin song. What the fuck?
I meant like having sex because you have a girlfriend.
dude, put
Yeah,
on-
all
Oh,
right.
what? No, I'm not gonna put. What am I gonna put on Stairway to Heaven? Oh my god,
Hell
this
yeah.
is heaven. Yeah, some kind of cliche like that. No, I'm good.
Hey man, you know that was a massive cliche at the time. That's why I
I'm
asked.
sure it was, man.
Just do it.
Probably do some fucking
just
acid
do
and
it.
just
Try it
just
out.
do it. No, but I will tell you one thing. It'll probably be a long time before I listen to any Zeppelin again.
Shocker.
What a shame! What a shame!
Look,
We're
it could
so
change.
sad to
Again,
see
I could
you
listen to
go.
a song by them
Boo.
randomly and just.
What a crack of
I'm
shit.
sorry. You're still mumbling with all those dicks in your mouth.
Mumble this,
On that note, we'll catch you next week.
fucker.